Revenue generation remains a fiscal issue in Nigeria. However, the mandate of Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning is essentially the development and execution of the financial, economic and fiscal policy that also include the action plan of the nation. While the mission of the ministry is to manage the nation's finance in an open, transparent, accountable and efficient manner that delivers developmental goals and priorities. In this regard, a unified collection is critical to tackle revenue collection in Nigeria.
Yes, it's going to improve taxpayers' confidence in the system, and then because it's going to ensure transparency and accountability. So I'm sure it will improve collection, not only for the taxpayers. They will see something, and even government will have more revenue to carry out programs and projects for the country as a whole.
Now, in the case of Nigeria, as you know, this is a very critical issue. Non-oil revenues are very low. Nigeria is one of the lowest, has one of the lowest ratios of tax to GDP amongst all large countries in the world. So it really needs to mobilize revenues. And I think in that context, this conference, this workshop is very useful because they're looking at different ways of making revenue collections more efficient, more effective, using technology.
Yeah, this is all about finding a better way for government to collect revenues, digital way of collecting revenues. You agree with me that these days, most other countries have gone very far in digitizing revenue collection activities and processes. And that's what we're trying to do here, to see how we can further improve revenue collection processes in Nigeria using digital means. And that will help government to increase its internal revenue drive, as well as also external ones as well. It is just like creating a think tank for that.
Provide an enabling platform for a real-time revenue collection system that is uniform, is based on global standards and practice, and puts Nigeria in the forefront of the practice of collection of revenue, both existing and the ones that can come in the future.
While addressing the participants of a 3-day workshop organized by the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning here in Abuja, the Permanent Secretary, Malam Aliyu, represented by Fatima Hayetu, a Director of Technical Services, reiterated the federal government commitment in developing major strategies and performance framework to achieving real-time revenue collection system in Nigeria.
Revenue generation remains a fiscal issue in Nigeria. As such, a unified collection is critical to tackle revenue collection. Therefore, the ministry is facilitating, through the Unified Real-Time Revenue Collection Forum, the implementation of this initiative, working with very key stakeholders with the goal of articulating the broad business and technology requirements, conceptual framework, and program initiation document.
The Permanent Secretary also highlighted various major areas of government concern in meeting up with current realities of real-time revenue collection system.
Consistent with the sustainable, holistic, and inclusive development philosophy of government, the ministry is promoting a revenue collection strategy that is based on effective cooperation, collaboration, and communication of all stakeholders globally.
She further reeled out 10-point prospect and expectation, pointing out that the Office of Accountant General of the Federation is responsible for public financial management of the federal government, consolidation of all revenues, management and effective payment for all expenditure.
The strategic intent of the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning can therefore be summarized in the following points. 1. To improve and enhance revenue collection, to provide an integrated environment for revenue collection in accordance with international best practices. To achieve high-level revenue collection, compliance sector-wide, to endanger quality, efficiency, and transparency in all revenue collection processes. To promote and enhance a culture of innovation in the entire revenue collections ecosystem. To also provide big data, statistics, and analytics for understanding fiscal performance, position, and prospects. Also to design and coordinate implementation of a robust capacity building program with professional certification for the entire national revenue collection value system.
In the same vein, experts in the field, professionals and major stakeholders, including foreign partners in the forum, add their voices by focusing on implementation of this initiative with the goal of articulating the broad business and technology requirement, conceptual framework, and program initiative document.
And I'm sure some of you might have heard that Estonia is widely considered to be the leading digital society in the world, where all the services are digitized and all the channels are digitized, and governmental business processes and the proceedings are digitized. And basically we take this unique experience and we export it globally. But the way Nortel works also is we have the capacity to localize the ideas. We have the capacity to localize the solutions. We fully acknowledge and appreciate the fact that ideas or solutions that work in Estonia, they don't work as is in other geographies, in other countries, in other nations. So what Nortel is able to do is take those ideas, take those solutions, and put them into context of the local cultural context, legislative context, localized in a way that those ideas and solutions are actually stick.
How are we going to do on the core banking side that can enable this development, that can enable this project to be successful? There are quite a number of things. Number one, integrating the core banking with the latest standards. So what we need to do, as we call it Transact or T24, with the core banking system, we need to ensure that it is upgraded to accept the latest access standards. The RTGS team has mentioned it as the uniform messaging format for all transactions. The core banking can be upgraded to integrate, receive messages, consume those messages, process those transactions. And one of the key offerings, which has also been mentioned, of the ISO 20022, is the amount of information that is captured. So every transaction is well and properly identified.
As part of you may know, CMA is a Swedish company. We have more than 30 years on the market of financial technology solution. We are working only on this specific technology. It's a choice. We are experts and we don't do anything else. We are more than 200 business and technical experts in this field with international experience, and we are specialized in building complex and bespoke solutions for FMIs. Our achievements up to date, we are working in 24 time zones as we are covering more than 50 countries all over the world. We are proud that more than 55 central banks are among our clients. We have completed successfully more than 500 projects all over the world, and more than 1,500 commercial banks and financial institutions are using our systems.
World Bank representative Rajul Awashe and other experts give an insight on tools for revenue performance analysis, benchmarking, projection, simulation.
But on VAT, which is everyday transactions are going on all through the day and even night, that's very critical. So if we talk about real-time revenue collection, it has to start with the VAT systems. It has to start with e-registers and with electronic invoicing. That's very, very important. People say data is the new oil. It is such an important resource. But data cannot be used efficiently and effectively by computers unless it is accurate. And when I say accurate, there's some very small things that can go wrong. The spelling of a name, one number is misplaced. That can create problems because a computer will not be able to recognize. They're not intelligent, they are machines. So they do what they're told, and the data quality becomes very important. So in Nigeria, that is one of the things. If you want to use technology more efficiently, you need to make sure all your databases, public databases, government data, are clear, clean, and accurate.
Similarly, Federal Inland Revenue Service was another area of focus by the forum, targeting implementation, uniform and efficient collection of domestic revenue in such a way that government instant access to such collection.
That the FIRS tax identification number is the unique identifier on the GIFMIS platform. So today, I can say we're the fuel. We provide the fuel that GIFMIS runs with. Because what we have is payments. We cannot change the payment policy of the government. ERP, we can do it to customize to suit our operations. But whatever policy government has put forward for payment, our operations end at the payment gateway, and CBN policy or government policy on payment kicks in.
Worldwide, paying taxes is always something that is dependent on what we call tax morale. And tax morale comes from when the public sees that the taxes are being used by government efficiently and providing public services that are needed, providing basic education, basic health, security, then people are more motivated to pay tax. So I think that's something that Nigeria is working towards and making good progress in that area, but I think still a lot more needs to be done.
Other experts and professionals, particularly those in the ministry and other stakeholders, present papers on ICT on technology requirement, public finance management for unified real-time revenue collection, and Office of Accountant General on TSA, and many others.
And presented a paper on enterprise architecture, a concept that guides the country on IT investment, so that at least the aspiration of that real-time revenue collections can be properly designed and implemented by way of ensuring that the ecosystem is aware of all the existing regulatory instruments that guide IT investment in the country. It will greatly help to a greater extent, because by the time we have an IT system that is integrated, it will give the government visibility of all the transactions that is happening, because it's going through the technology, and it can be monitored, and whoever is entitled or eligible to pay tax will be identified and will be made to pay that allowable tax, because facts can be collected through the systems and established before him that yes, he is supposed to pay this type of tax because he enjoy a particular services, or he is a particular system to deliver a services. So like that, governments can get increase in revenue collection, because the identification is going to be enhanced through the technology.
There was an open interaction section to address some major challenges and issues affecting the progress and success of the system.
Thank you. I really impressed with all the recommendations mentioned here. I just want to add a few things. Particularly, that real-time issue is very critical and it's very important. And without strong review on investment on the IT infrastructure, if we are to rely on the legacy system we're using now, we can't really do this. So let it be clearly pronounced. Part of the recommendation is government should doubled its investment in IT infrastructure to ensure the state-of-the-art IT is provided. That's the only way we can have that availability. And that's the only way we can have that convenient channels of payments. The more convenient a customer feels, I think the more he's encouraged to make this. And again, it's also important to sustain awareness. There should be deliberate attempt to sustain awareness on this tax collection using all these our media platform, the TV, the radio, the social media, whichever. I think these 2 points is important.
If you don't have the process, no matter how much technology you put there, infrastructure is not complete. It's the human aspect that actually completes it and continues to drive continuous improvement. The idea is there's nothing like a final destiny for infrastructure. Every day you need to be better and more efficient. And that's why there was emphasis on efficiency and effectiveness.
Also speaking, Walter Ari, a consultant and also the coordinator of the workshop program, commends the participants for their numerous supports and cooperation during the program. He therefore advised them and make useful suggestions on the outcome of the workshop and the way forward.
And please, don't leave here until you know that you're part of the collaboration platform of the Ministry of Finance. Because in an iterative manner, we'll continue to give you update on helping. There is a strong discussion about domesticating this. But, you know, we should even start thinking about the fact that most of you here use Gmail and Yahoo to even discuss things and so on. So it goes beyond just some of this software. The fact that our processes will be domesticated. But the world is also becoming a global village. So you also don't become a closed shop. Okay? Part of what we are discussing with NIGDA is security. Actually, just because somebody helped you do the software doesn't mean they have access to your data. As a matter of fact, Estonia has no clue what your data looks like.